Hello, and welcome to the Full Circle Podcast, your source for insights into the science and art of endurance sports training and racing. I'm your host, Coach Laura Henry. Today is Coach Tip Tuesday. As an endurance coach, I have long advocated for athletes to introduce discomfort into their training and their daily workouts. In fact, it's not uncommon for me to plan a particular workout for an athlete or for me to recommend that an athlete do a particular thing precisely because I know it will be uncomfortable for them. One of the most common ways I do this is by recommending that athletes do something different from their normal training routine and their normal racing routine. In other words, I recommend that they do something new. Reading Michael Easter's book, The Comfort Crisis, Embrace Discomfort to Reclaim Your Wild, Happy, Healthy Self, only confirmed what I had long observed in my work as a coach. Comfort is great in moderation and disastrous in the amounts most of us currently have in our lives. We get so comfortable in our normal routines that we forget the power of a new experience. In order to counter this overabundance of comfort, we need to intentionally introduce discomfort and novel experiences into our lives. Doing so helps us grow and to live higher quality and happier lives. I've talked about how the hard is what makes endurance sports great. Sports like running, cycling, swimming, and triathlon are attractive to athletes precisely because they are challenging and they are, at least on some level anyway, uncomfortable. Whether we are conscious of it or not, we derive immense satisfaction from learning new skills and seeing what we're capable of. The only way to learn something new, either in general or about ourselves, is to do something different from what we've done before. Doing something new, which often does mean doing something uncomfortable, is what gives us this opportunity and yields that satisfaction. While it definitely can feel uncomfortable, doing something new also can be exceptionally liberating. And that is why it is one of the ways that I encourage athletes to introduce discomfort into their endurance training and racing. Our brains default to going on autopilot when we do something that we are familiar with. This autopilot process can feel very comfortable to us because we don't have to think that much. In fact, going into this autopilot mode when doing familiar things is often so comfortable that we don't even realize that it is what is happening. We can engage in one thing while maintaining a decent level of distraction where we are either thinking about or doing another thing simultaneously. This distraction is often referred to as multitasking, but distraction is the accurate descriptive term for what is actually happening. The truth of the matter is that we are never giving something our full attention if we are dividing our focus between multiple things. And so we can't and we shouldn't ever expect the same results as if we had given a particular thing or process our full attention. While many people think that they are giving 100% to each process, activity, or task when they quote unquote multitask, and therefore they think they're accomplishing 200% of what they could have been by only doing one thing at a time, the reality is that quote-unquote multitasking costs us about 40% of our productive time. As such, we end up getting closer to 50% of something done, not even 100%, and certainly not the fabled 200% that a lot of people think that they're getting. By contrast, we cannot go on autopilot when we are doing something new. This is because doing something new forces presence. When we are doing something new or that is different from our normal, our brains need to give what we're doing much more care and attention than we are used to. The brain notices more details, evaluates our environment and situation more acutely, and stores memories differently. We need to engage in the novel experience with curiosity, and we need to rely on our instincts and our judgment to navigate what we are experiencing. All of this means that we don't have the cognitive energy or space for repetitive or familiar thoughts when we are engaging in a new experience. We must give our attention to what we are currently experiencing without distraction. As a result of all of this, time can actually feel like it's slowing down when we are doing something new. We've all experienced the phenomenon when time speed, quote unquote, changes. Hard workout intervals of 30 seconds can feel like they take forever. And easy workout intervals of 3 minutes can feel like they pass in the blink of an eye. Some days, weeks, and months fly by so fast that we can barely remember the details of what took place or what we did. And yet, other days, weeks, and months pass more slowly and are much more memorable to us. One example of this phenomenon is time spent at home, going to work, school, and sports, contrasted with time that we spend in a foreign city. The time spent at home will fly by, while the time spent in a new place where we don't know how to get around, or we don't speak the language, and where each day is different from each other, aka not routine, will seem longer, relatively, to that same amount of time spent at home, where we know how to get places, how to speak the language, and where we have a daily routine. In the world of endurance sports, doing something new can take many shapes. The most common are doing a new to you sport discipline, such as a runner who is trying cycling or a swimmer who tries strength training, doing a workout in a new to you place, doing a race that you haven't ever done before, doing a new to you workout. I firmly believe that doing something new can not only help us challenge the comfort crisis that we're collectively facing as a society, but that it can help us enjoy our life experiences more. I have seen time and time again in my own endurance sports training that constantly introducing something new significantly increases the enjoyment I get from training. It also helps me continue to enjoy a hobby that identically resembles what I do full-time for work, and that's really important. One of the biggest ways I personally introduce something new into my training on a regular basis is that I never, ever use the same route for consecutive workouts. Never, ever. In fact, I almost never repeat the same route for workouts that take place within a few months of each other. By doing this, I find that I am able to focus better on the intention of the workout itself. I can't go on autopilot, and so then my mind cannot wander to other thoughts. I am able to really hone in on what I'm supposed to be doing in the workout, and this helps me yield better adaptations for my training over time. Additionally, I find the experience of the workout itself is much more enjoyable and it doesn't feel like a chore. Instead, it feels like a bit of an adventure. I take a similar approach when it comes to racing. I generally never repeat a race. Out of the 100 plus individual races that I have completed, I've only raced 10 individual races more than once. Most of those 10 I only raced twice. The most notable exception to this is my all-time favorite race, the Mountain Goat Run here in Syracuse, which I have run 13 times as of the time of my recording this episode. I'm not the only athlete who has experienced these positive benefits. I've seen the same thing happen for the athletes who I coach. If athletes either take the initiative to introduce novelty into their training or finally do engage in novel experiences after some very persistent nudging from their coach, they often discover that they enjoyed and got more out of those experiences and workouts than they originally imagined they could. They also see that this novelty helps them make progress and achieve their goals over time. From a very practical standpoint, we need to introduce new and varied stimuli in training in order to elicit desired physiological adaptations in the body. Training stimulus is imposed by managing variables such as volume, intensity, frequency, and workout modality. Manipulating these different variables over the course of an annual training plan is what helps athletes get stronger, faster, achieve better performances, and reach their goals. Just like the brain and the mind, the body knows when it is doing something that it has done before. When it knows what to expect stimulus-wise, it stops adapting as much or as quickly. As a result, if we want to see continued gains and increases in our performance over time, we need to constantly vary what we're doing in training. Practically speaking, this means that we need to be doing things like cross-training, interval workouts of varying intensities, workouts of varying durations, and different movements or exercises. By keeping the body guessing about what is coming next, it will not get used to a given stimulus, and it will respond to the variability by making the various systems in the body, such as the cardiac, respiratory, muscular, and skeletal systems, more durable, resilient, and stronger. With consistency, all of this can lead to increased speed and performance gains over time. In a world that is already very comfortable and is becoming increasingly too comfortable, we need to intentionally do new things to combat this comfort crisis and to help us thrive. This is true both in our lives as endurance athletes and in our existence as humans. This week, I challenge you to do something new in your training and/or your racing. Try a brand new route. Do a completely different type of workout. Give a new discipline or movement practice a try. Sign up for a race you've never done before. Embark on the new experience with curiosity and immerse yourself in it. It might just be the thing you need to break through a training rut or plateau and to achieve greater enjoyment and success than you could previously envision for yourself. That was another episode of the Full Circle Podcast. Subscribe to the Full Circle Podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you like what you listen to, please be sure to leave us a rating and review, as this goes a long way in helping us reach others. The thoughts and opinions expressed on the Full Circle Podcast are those of the individual. As always, we love to hear from you and we value your feedback. Please send us an email at podcast@fullcircleendurance.com or visit us at fullcircleendurance.com/podcast. To find training plans, see what other coaching services we offer, or to join our community, please visit fullcircleendurance.com. I'm Coach Laura Henry. Thanks for listening.